warm welcome to Catherine Deneuve.
Hello.
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 Where do I sit?
We will now have an in-conversation with Ms. Catherine Deneuve, will be conducted by writer-journalist Alexandra Sego. Alexandra, I'll give you this microphone. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here, Ms. Deneuve. It's such an honor for Hong Kong to have you here. After this film, I thought it would be interesting to start off with your experience making the film.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cut in a little bit. When the discussion is going on and when we're talking, can you please refrain from taking photographs? Okay. 大家唔該你唔好影相字，但係佢講嘢嘅時候唔好影相字，唔該。
It's very distracting.
Yes. So, I was saying earlier, I walked in and people were, you could hear their hearts breaking. You could hear them laughing at times. What was your experience like making a movie about, making this movie?
Hello.
Well, my experience was quite an experience because the director of the film, who is also an actress, wanted to do the film really something that was happening, on the road. So, as it's the story, as you see in the film, of a woman who sort of says, I'm going back, in the kitchen, which means I'm going away. She does that trip. That was quite difficult for the director to plan because some different places needed some little piece of scenes, and she wanted something interesting always to be interesting to look at, no matter how long it was going to last or where she was going to stop. And also she wanted to work with non-professional actors. So she had a lot of meetings, with all kind of different people, and she did tests with a lot of people for all the small parts, which is really a very, very long work to do. And I did agree with her because I thought it would give a sort of different ingenuity, to some scenes and the way people would say the lines without really acting. And of course, it's very different because then you're working with people that sometimes cannot do twice the same thing, which is also a good thing in a way. But you have to be really very aware and try to be there to help if something happens.
Yes. And this film was written, the role was created especially for you. Does that change how you approach the creation of the role?
Well, no, because very often I work with a director that are also writers, and they write, the parts for me when it's the case, and so because directors are writing their own scripts, it's not that there was some script writer writing the story. Most of the time it's like that, as far as I'm concerned, in France. But it was a very challenging part.
Working with the boy, the actor, who is the director's son, is it different working with a child compared to working with an adult actor?
Well, of course, the child is different from an adult anyway, so... But there is an actor who said the two worst things in a film is to work with a child or with an animal. Because you have to say too, because there you cannot, it's much more difficult to control. But in the case of the little boy in the film, it's very different because he's already a child actor. You know, he's going in a special school where he learns to sing and to dance because that's what he wants to do. He wants to do musicals, so he's already very aware, very open to learning and the lines and doing the scenes. He's really been on that school for at least 2 years now.
You had fantastic chemistry. I thought. Those scenes were very
Yeah,
special.
yeah, yes.
So I will open the floor to questions. We have until 7, unfortunately. We don't have a lot of time, so I encourage you and urge you to ask your questions as quickly as possible.
No, we don't have to rush. You know, we can just... I don't think it's your mind, but sometimes I have the impression that if you say you have to rush, people have to rush to ask the question. We have a little time, but take your time.
Yes, here.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to Hong Kong. One part in the movie when you're driving and as if you're crying, but we as spectators, we can hear the music. It was a very touching music. It's at the beginning of the movie. But I already wanted to cry. Could you hear the same music in the car or how you were acting? Yeah, it was tremendous. Thank you.
No, because, you know, the music in the film comes at the end. It's the last thing you do the film, you know. It's done after the editing, after the dubbing for the voices sometimes. It's the last thing you do is put the music and did the mixing of words and music afterwards. But in that case, you know, it's just, you know, I was very aware of what was happening. But sometimes some directors, for certain scenes, you know, they play a different kind of, I mean, a special kind of music they want the actors to be related to. It's quite rare because it's alright if there is no words, if there are no lines to say, because otherwise you cannot keep words. It's very difficult.
Thank you for that question. Another question? Yes, up here.
Madame, vous êtes très belle.
Very nice words and very good French.
I used to be a French major. I remember you as a beautiful student when I was a student, watching you in the greatest of all movies in the early days. And that was your wonderful movie when you first introduced yourself to a car and a car maker. And it was just so wonderful. Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Who have not seen Umbrellas of Cherbourg? We are witnessing one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. Thank you so much for coming to Hong Kong. We're pleased to be here with
Do
you.
you have a
Thank
question?
you very much.
Does anyone have a question?
Okay, I have four.
Yes.
I have following questions.
Sure.
Sorry, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. OK，唔係我咪嘅，因為想驚，不過 OK。不過唔緊要，其實直接問啦。因為都好掛住你嗰啲歌舞片啊，其實頭先都講咗係。咁其實你未來歲月裏邊會唔會話有啲歌舞片嘅 job 會接咧？會做咧？
Well, I love to do a musical, you know, but it's quite rare in France. It's more American or English in a musical. It's quite rare. But luckily enough, I've done another film with music a few years ago. I don't think it's been released here. It's a film from a French director called Christophe. And all the characters in the film, they don't sing all the time, but they all sing at least twice in the film. And it's lovely. It's such a nice impression also to sing in a film. I love it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. The lady in the middle, please.
Would you mind pass her the mic?
I wish I could just come down.
Deneuve. I've been wanting to meet you for the past 20-something years, really.
Well, it's time for me to come back.
Yes, it's a very opportune time, and great thank you again for coming to Hong Kong. About the movie, I was wondering, do you feel like, you know, after having been in so many movies, now that you have more choices in the kind of roles that you want to get into, especially now I don't want to say aging, but real life. But I mean, obviously, you have been in movies for so many years. Do you feel that you have a lot of freedom choosing the projects you want to get into? Or rather, is it also challenging to try to look for projects when you are so obviously so passionate about being in movies?
I'm sorry? Are you a journalist?
I'm not. I'm simply someone who loves your movies, who likes...
Okay, that was so articulate the way you say it. I've been quite lucky because, frankly, since I've done the Cherbourg, most of the time I could choose the film I wanted. You know, it's not in Europe. It's not like in America where you have to be very careful because of your career. Because if you do a film and it's not as successful, I mean, you can really quickly change. You know, go from one point down to another. So it's much more difficult to take chances. You know, to do things different. It's different in Europe. And in my case, frankly, I was really lucky because I was able to choose most of the film I've done. Today it's different, you know, I can choose, but it's true that the panel of films that I can do and the kind of path I'm offered, I wouldn't say it's more limited, but it's not that you don't have the major part, you know, in that kind of time of age, you know, so it's different. But for the moment it's alright because I was able to do things I really wanted to do with more peculiar, you know, characters than what you would expect, just being the mother of someone or being the mother of another one. You know, that's the problem at a certain time. You're not anymore the major part in the film. But I'm very careful and I'm very picky when I choose and when I write scripts. So it's my decision to try to stay on another level as I want to.
We want to see you for as long as...
Thank you.
I want to see you for as long as you're still acting.
Thank you very much.
One just quick follow-up question. I know this is not related to movies. Obviously, you do a lot of charity work as well. Is there anywhere in the plan that you want to be involved in more charity, or is there a particular cause that you are passionate about that you like to spend more time in?
Well, I don't participate to the gala they do every year, but there's an organization that I'm very close to. It's called Restaurants of the Heart. It's been created by an actor-singer, you know, quite a long time ago, and he would sing that he's there since he had a car accident in his called Coluche, and he was expecting that would last only for a few years, but it's been now over more than 10 years. And it's even, they're selling food to even more people than ever. And it's, it's an organization I really care for.
Thank you.
There was a question from the front here, I think. And a special request, if possible, not to take photos with a flash.
Okay, which one?
The one.
Oh, hello, Kathy. I love your movie. I have seen many of your movie, and I am very nice to see you now. And thank you very much for give many great performance. But I have one question. Some question. First is about the fan cinema. I remember recently a producer said that the budget of the fans movies are too high because the salary are too high, and because of that, most of the fans movie didn't make any profit. So what do you think about that? Do you think the actor and actress to take the ban because for the financial situation of the fans movies?
That has been a small story that became a big story a few months ago because the producer-distributor who had a very bad experience with two important films where there were actors that had been very, very highly paid, were not successful, which was really something quite rare. And he made a speech, you know, in an important newspaper that became some sort of useful thing for everybody to say that the salaries were too high. But I don't think that's really the case for most of the actors. You know, I think he was speaking about, you know, few actors and actresses, and I think it may be 4 or 5, no more. So we cannot say this is the reflection of French cinema. And I don't think the films are too expensive. The problem is that we make too many films. That would be more the problem in France.
Yeah, thank you.
a very big fan of yours, and I really enjoy the film. I'm from Japan, and I realized one of the topics in the movie that you were looking after your mother. And in Japan, with a lot of aging population, there's always it's not a problem, but there's a lot of people, women especially, has to look after their mother, but also look after your own kids, and then starting to feel like sometimes they can't really enjoy their own life. And I'm just wondering, what is your what is the way or how you can enjoy your life, or you live your life, but also have this responsibility, a lot of responsibility in your life?
I think it's really a question also of education, how you've been raised by your parents. I know in Japan it's a tradition. In Japan, I think the major problem is the problem of space, of room. So it's true that if you live with your stepmother or mother or stepfather, it demands a little more space so you can still have your life and be in the same house as an older person, because it's a different way of living, and it can seem a little heavy. But it all depends, where you live and how you've been raised. I can understand that it can be a burden, for a young couple or a woman. She works and has children. She has plus, to take care of. In Africa, it's like that. It's very different because they live in the open much more. So it's a very different. There is a great support from younger people to the older people, because we think they have the knowledge and everything. When in Europe, we would think that people, when they get older, they get more slower and not as much as interesting as you think they would be. It's a question of civilization. It's very, very different. But I'm sure in Japan it must be difficult, because I think mostly because of the space. So you have to try to do something outside of home that you do only for yourself, that fulfills you.
Perhaps a question from the back. We have a question from the back there. I think you're in the, yes.
Bonsoir Madame Deneuve. Alexandra, je suis présidente de l'association française à Hong Kong. So I'm going to speak in English so that everyone can understand. I'm president of the French Association here in Hong Kong, where we have a very thriving French community. So thank you very much for being here with us. You represent le rayonnement français, French beauty. So thank you again for being here. The Hong Kong cinema is thriving as well, and we are very fortunate to have the Hong Kong International Film Festival. Do you have any plans in making a movie here in Hong Kong and working here?
I don't think I can make plans, in that direction. I would like very much to work here and to work with a Hong Kong director, but it doesn't depend on me. Actors, they depend on the desire of other people, especially directors and writers. So it's not my decision.
A quick follow-up to that. You've spoken in the past about liking the films of Dajanka. What do you like about his films, and would you be interested in working with him?
Well, I don't think you can, obviously he's very much in his country, and he talks about his country and the problem of people in his country, so I don't see how French actors could fit in, because it's not the kind of thing he does has nothing to do with, you really have to be part of his world, And what I admire is his talent for telling incredible stories and shooting and directing the films in such a talented way. It's very difficult for me to express that just in English, but I just think he's an incredible director, incredible writer as well. When I was president in the Venice Festival a few years ago, I gave him the prize, the Gold Lion for this film,
Yes. No.
照鼻啦，唔緊要啦，照繼續答啦。
Good afternoon, Mr. Deneuve. Welcome to Hong Kong. First of all, it's beyond my dream to actually to see you in person. I have enjoyed most of your movies as a student many years ago, and say Incroyable de vous voir. And I don't really have a serious question, but follow up with the last question. Would you be interested if some projects relating to Hong Kong, China, or Asia, would you be interested in participating? Of course I would be. Yeah,
Of course, yes.
Fantastic. So that's my question, and I wish you always happiness, beauty, and peace. Je vous souhaite bonheur, beauté, and paix pour toujours.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I mean, I have to say I'm absolutely shocked of actually seeing you. It's a surreal experience. My partner and I have followed you for so many years. And my question is there a story or a topic during your career that you haven't been able to express in a film? And is there any director that you would like to work with that you haven't been able to? And the third thing that I would like to say is not a question, but besides the fact that you are beautiful and everybody says that, is I just want to say that it's amazing. I admire how a human being is capable to transmit such emotions through a screen. And the reason why I said that it feels surreal to see you is because you are capable to transmit such surreal things that enrich people in our daily life is so banal and so trivial, and it's amazing that a person in 2 hours' time is capable to enrich your life and bring you to another dimension.
Nice compliment, because it's one of the main reasons to do films, is to get people to tell a story and to present characters that are going to sort of make you forget at least for a few hours, the everyday life, because even actors and actresses, in everyday life, they have an everyday life at its average. It's just when you're shooting that you are telling a different story and you play a character. Topic is like biography, Topic will be biography. You said before doing a topic.
A story that you haven't been able, a story that you would like to tell that you haven't been able to tell.
No, I'm talking about directors, 3/4 of the directors in the world I haven't been working with, and it's not a question of me wanting to, being able to, it's a question of language, it's a question of culture, it's a question of, and I would like very much to have the occasion to come and work in Asia, except that I know that it will be very difficult because of the language, English is not enough, so I'm not sure it would be possible, but I'd love to.
Thank you very much for everything that you have done for us.
Thank you. Hello.
Hello, nice meeting you. I have a question. We saw that the film is about several generations of women, from the grandmother to the mother to the daughter. The question is, do you have any advice to give women at the age of 20, 30, or 40? Do you have an advice or something to tell them?
No, advice, no, never. No, never. I think, advice if I'm asked, otherwise, your experience is only good for you. It doesn't mean you cannot, teach anything to anyone, a child because you raise him, but about life and everything, I think you have to make your own choices. No, I don't give much advice.
Last question. This is not an advice. You made the famous movie Umbrellas of Cherbourg. What's your favorite color of umbrella?
You're right to say umbrella because one of my favorite colors is green. I love all sort of greens, but for an umbrella I wouldn't choose green because for the face it's not that much. Red. a journalist, Mr.
The one in blue.
Yes, are you a
藍色衫
journalist?
呢位，你係咪記者嚟㗎？
唔係，不過我冇拍相嘅，完全我爭咗㗎，我淨係完全冇拍相。
So the last.
The one over.
喂，係用廣東話問。好。即係頭先 MC 一開始都講到個劇本係導演專為阿丹路而去寫啦，咁所以我都會想知道翻喺阿丹路去演繹過程當中，會唔會都有啲咩啟發到佢自己本身嘅生活
？Since the screenplay, since your character's are there any parts of the film that you refer in your own experience?
No, I try, as little as possible to refer to my own personal life. And anyway, I don't feel very related to the character, as I've been saying before, because this woman is living with her mother, which is something I couldn't think of. I love my mother, but I would live with my parents. She has bad relation with her daughter, which is absolutely not my case, and she almost doesn't know her grandson, which seems to me impossible. Very, very far from me.
Question on the side and then. Yes.
Madam Deneuve, I love you and sorry, I think love you and long life French cinema and long life all French stars. As you are interested in Asian cinema or Hong Kong cinemas, so any particular Asian or Hong Kong film directors or producers you are interested in, or you have the interest to work with them, and also as the character is not so similar to you, so how any inspiration, how you capture the character in this work? Okay, two questions. Thank you. Love you.
Thank you. So there are two questions in your questions, right? The second part was about working.
Hong Kong, or do you have any Hong Kong?
I love Wong Kar-wai, but it's not that I think I will work with him one day, because apart from very, very rare cases, he's always been working with Chinese actors, but I like very much his work. I think he's a really great talented director. And the other part of the question was,
is how, since it's that character is so different from you, how did you?
Well, if you are really very involved, in the film and in the scenes and your partners, when you start working and rehearsing, I mean, you forget, about, you really get involved in the scene and the characters, so you don't really think anymore so much you don't ask yourself those questions. You have to be quite direct and honest with the scene and your partners, so it helps.
Hello, Senna.
Hello.
Hello, first of all, this is for you.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you very much. I love flowers. Thank you very much.
My question is about the movie. There were quite a lot of close-up shots. It is, of course, a piece to all of our eyes, but were you concerned about the close-up shot, because a lot of women were not too comfortable with very close-up shots like that? Close-up shots in the film.
Yes, why?
I don't know, some of us may not be too comfortable with the camera.
Well, I always prefer, like actors, I always prefer when I'm with a partner, and we're two in the same scene, and we work and we shoot together. It's not what I prefer, the close-up. But it's not a question of aesthetic, or it's a question that you feel the camera much more. It's not as easy, to be really with your partner or within the scene when you feel the camera and the technician so close. But sometimes it's important, because you have to give the emotion that can be given only through a close-up.
Thank you.
nice to be here tonight. And my question is like, all these years you have worked with a lot of artists in other media, and like all other great directors and Man Ray, even like other fashion designers. Like, how this actually affects your works as an actress? Working with others, like
collaboration with other
artists, not in other media, not necessarily works, like with fashions or others, photographers. How does it really affect you as a? How do you? Is there any chemistry gaining from this context, and how does it affect you as an actress?
Your acting? What do you mean with or your contact? You know, you work with, for example, various clothing designers or artists.
Well, I think it's like everything in life. You know, when you are interested in some direction of a certain kind of art, you get. It's not, you cannot say you are influenced, but it makes an impression on you. You know, but you don't know how the impression then settle down in you and how you are going to use that. I cannot consider to see or do something with someone and think, what is it going to bring me? How am I going? But it's just like the sun, you know. It's something that it's different layers, you know, that sort of. I cannot really pick out something, you know. Maybe on clothing, as you were saying, it's different because I had the chance to be involved in work and with Yves Saint Laurent for so many years, and that became something different. That gave me maybe a better eye, you know, on colors and clothing for films. But that's the kind of influence it has. So when I meet painters or writers, I cannot say how influenced I am. You know, it's just some people make a more bigger impression on you